As long as I'm around, you don't have to look directly at your empty pit of a life.
Oh, okay, wow. You know what? Maybe you should take it down a notch.
No, I think I'll take it up a notch, shall we? I mean, dysfunction is, after all, what we do best in this family. We got daddy issues, chaos junkie. Mommy issues, more daddy issues, obnoxious asshole issues. Then you seem kind of weirdly self-actualized as far as I can tell. Anyway, I'm just so done living, cowering in your little bubble of superiority.
So, this is the thanks I get for taking care of you for the past 5 years.
I think you've got that back to front, sweetheart.
Oh.
Who took care of you since Ray walked out? None of these guys gave a shit. Who took care of your little Claire while you bombed every shitty audition in town?
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Panels to Pixels podcast.
So it is good to be back, Mark. I am.
Yeah. It is. It's good to be back and having you back. Becky's been filling in. She took care of like Snowpiercer. We've been doing Agatha all along. We got the first 4 episodes, everybody. You probably got it this past week, which is awesome. So Becky and I covered all first 4 episodes. We broke them down. We took about 2 hours to cover them and talk about them, but we had a good time talking about them. And we will be back to regular weekly episodes come this week. So look for episode 5. I put a thread out there on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. So that way you can leave your comments if you have any comments and thoughts. But other than that, we actually did Joker 2 coverage with Rob, Becky, and myself as well. So you could hear us talk trash about that movie.
I look forward to hearing it. I can't wait to listen to the Agatha All Along podcast because I've got it queued up in my player. Just gotta get to it. So.
But we know that we've been ignoring a little bit of Umbrella Academy. This is why we're going to finish up the Umbrella Academy now in one sitting. We only have episodes 3 to 6 to cover, everybody. So we're going to be covering those episodes and give you our thoughts about them. We're going to brief over some of them. Obviously, you guys have watched it. It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
But you could get our thoughts on it and what we liked about it. It is the final season of the show. So
yeah, sad. I have to admit, a few weeks ago, but after we finished recording episode 2, I watched 3 and 4. I was all ready to podcast on them, and then I had some health stuff come up, y'all. Yeah. I had to have some surgery, and it's a whole big thing. But I did, it has been out there for so long. I actually got spoiled on the ending, not the details of how they got there. So I was kind of glad I didn't get spoiled on that. But I did get spoiled on kind of how it ended, and it kind of made me depressed. I was kind of like, that's how they ended it. But I after watching the episodes a second time, I can appreciate a little bit of how they got there. It leaves some things hanging that we'll talk about when we get to episode 6 that I think is a just unfortunate part of the writing that they couldn't wrap everything up, but it would be, I don't know. We'll see. On one hand, I'm kind of glad it's over.
I'm glad that they were able to resolve a lot of it. I'll miss the characters, the actors. It's a possibility, and we'll go into it in the end of our final thoughts of the last episode. But with that, we'll go right into episode 3, which is entitled "The Squid and the Girl." And the synopsis for that, Steve?
The group splits up to find Jennifer. Later on, they pay Reginald a visit, confronting memories that hold critical clues to their mission.
Yeah, which is funny because this is a different Reginald Hargreaves, everybody, as you all know, because this is a different reality at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So when they do arrive at the house, they do see his wife.
Yeah, I have to admit though, I mean, starting I was a little confused at the beginning, because it starts with that very, very 80s, 90s kind of, news broadcast with the guys and the giant squid. And I'm like, what is going on? And, of course, the girl coming out of the squid, which again, that's another one of those things that they never explain. How did she get? Oh, whatever.
Why was she in there?
Right. How did she get there? We're just supposed to kind of yada yada that away. And but yeah, they see that they realize, I think, that the whole point of the last season was to bring back Reginald's wife, and her name is escaping me now. The character Abigail. Thank you. Which that actress, I had to keep checking back to go, no, it was not Ricky Lindholm.
No,
but goodness gracious, she looked like she could have been a twin, in my opinion, for Ricky Lindholm. I was just like, every time I saw her, I was like, is that, no, I guess no, it's not. It's somebody else. But
waiting for her to break out in song.
And she's playing, she's playing the violin. She's playing that same song that Victor played in the first season to end the world. So it's kind of a weird juxtaposition there of that song being played. But yeah,
it's an odd caveat. But before we get to that, we get this wonderful explosion from Klaus to Allison, and everybody in the group is saying, it's like,
I love it. I have the quote. I know we're not at quotes yet, but since we're kind of going through these rapid fire, I love his moment when he has this whole, they're talking about dysfunction. He says, well, the dysfunction is what we do best in this family. Daddy issues, chaos junkie, mommy issues, more daddy issues, obnoxious a-hole issues, and you seem weirdly self-actualized when he gets to Lila. Which was Lila. And it was funny when he gets done with all that and they're all starting to leave and split up. Lila goes, I'm the best, or something like that.
Well, she does fit into the family at this point too. But yeah, I really did enjoy that scene. I'm glad he got that quote in there too, because that was one of my favorite scenes in the episode. It's like he blows up on everybody, and because he has to, but it's just, I love how Klaus wounds up, and that's part of the episode that I did enjoy, is like dealing with his powers again and going back to drugs, including stealing from Allison, like the TV and everything.
Yeah. And Claire catches him and he just kind of shouts at her, and you see that addiction, and you see for a moment kind of, he does kind of soften a little bit when he shouts at her, but he still, makes her move out of the way and let him go. But you can definitely see how that addiction, how he suddenly realizes that his addiction is back. Not only his drug addiction is back, but his just addiction of being, trouble. Self-destructive. Yeah.
That's literally what his addiction is. He's addicted to destroying anything that makes him happy, and apparently drugs and destruction make him happy.
Yeah.
But that's Klaus. We all love Klaus anyway. The other thing that I did enjoy was the fact that when they did get to Reginald's house and you saw Abigail, and there's this whole introduction, and they have this sit-down conversation. Victor gets a little bit feisty at a certain point, pushing to help them to get what they need for help. And Reginald's idea is to go back to the mission that they had where they lost Ben at that time. So they had to go back in their minds. So he puts them in these machines, and that's where literally the episode ends off at a certain point.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how we see them. We don't really take off from there until the next episode.
Yeah,
but they leave a cliffhanger there.
Yeah, for sure. But there's still a few more things I don't want us to not talk about from episode
Lila
3.
And 5.
We got Lila and 5 hitting the subway. We get this hint of what's going to come, because we have watched all of the season now and the whole series, and so we know where they're going to end up, and we kind of see the foreshadowing of where they're going to be when we get to episode 5, because we're not even there yet. But we see the inkling of the beginnings of that relationship and what's going to happen there. And we had obviously looking back on it, we can see the foreshadowing from all the way back to episode 1 when Diego got jealous of Five, and we can see that this has been foreshadowing. As much as I don't think I didn't like it, but like I said, these were episodes that were on repeat viewing, made me appreciate the story a little bit more, and I was able to kind of go, okay, I can kind of see where you're going with this.
Yeah, I know.
But
it's like it kind of left a bad taste in your mouth when you first watched it, and then you said, all right, I'll leave it on in the background, and then you watch it again, you're like, oh, okay, all right, I understand it from this viewpoint. Because if you leave it on and it's looped, you'll see the same scene twice or 3 times, and you're like, okay, that'll work.
Yeah. We don't want to leave episode 3 though without talking about Gene and Jean, and the weird, like, we haven't had a dance number in the season yet, and we finally get a dance number in the season. We don't have a family dance number, but we get Gene and Jean dancing to Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves by Cher, which is just weird. And the whole montage with Ben attacking the complex there and then escaping with Jennifer, and we get this scene of Gene and Jean, shooting some of their own men in order to let Ben and Jennifer escape, which still isn't clear. They jumbled this whole storyline so badly, in my opinion, because they go from one moment of letting them be together and then not having them be together, and then not until the end going, okay, that they do have to be together. And then you got David Cross, who ends up being not David Cross, and we don't know when he got switched out.
It's like it's like the movie The Thing. For a while. And just to like give you an idea, folks who've watched the final season and the last episodes as we're talking about them, it gave me the Thing vibes, not only with the effects at the very end of the episode, but also with how David Cross is Cy Grossman, and a reveal of him,
right?
And what had happened with Gene and everything else, and you're like, wait, what happened? How did that happen? And why did that happen?
Right. When did Abigail Hargreaves take over? And obviously we'll get to that later, but that's when did she take over his body? And obviously we know when she takes over Gene's body because we see it happen. But at that point we're like going, wait a minute, when did she even learn about Cy Grossman? Because we've seen her at different times, a lot of these last 4 episodes, even on watching them again, really felt like the writers were really trying to jam. We know we're ending this series, and so we don't care what we confuse you about or what ends up being unclear.
Honestly, they made it 6 episodes, and they should have made it at least a good 12.
At least 8 or 10.
Explore
give us a little bit,
it,
give us a little bit more of what was going on outside of the siblings, because again, we don't know, and we'll get to it later, obviously, because we're already talking about it, but when did they change places? And so it's I don't want to move on too far though before we get past Diego is actually really a good detective. We see him, he goes through the trash at the Thibodeau's apartment, and he finds the redacted documents, and he figures out that it's all about Ben's, the day Ben died, and this Operation Jennifer, which he starts to put all these things together that again leads us to the end of the episode where they go to Reggie's house and they want Reggie to, then they realize that this version of Reggie didn't mess with their brains, but even this version of Reggie goes, it sounds like something that I would do.
Because he's pompous. It's the same character, but he understood it, and he sees there's a little bit of redemption with Reginald through the remaining episodes that we get. there's like some sort of acceptance of Victor at one point, him fessing up to what he had done to the kids. He's like tamed by Abigail at certain points. She goes, "Oh, honey, you need some tea." "I don't want any tea. Please sit down. Let's have a mature conversation about this with the children." And that's what's so interesting. It's like, this is a different Reginald. He's still an alien.
Right.
But that's, it seems like, he's understanding and he's capable of having those human kind of feelings, which is good. All right. Yeah. And then we could easily move right now into episode 4, which is entitled The Cleanse.
Yes. After learning the truth about Jennifer, the crew sets out to find her and Ben. Klaus hustles to escape his plight. Five and Lila try to change the past. This was another storyline that it took me a couple of viewings to really get behind Lila and Five joining up Change the Past, to realize that, okay, oh yeah, I forgot. They were both kind of involved with the commission for a while. So they knew about using the suitcases to travel back in time and to change the past. So I could kind of see them getting there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of went, really? Is that?
But it's been years later after all that. They've changed a bit. Five. I love it for the fact that Aidan Gallagher has gotten older, so it's got a little gruff to him.
Yeah.
So he's showing a little age to his face and a beard setting in and things of that nature. We'll get into that when we get to the next episode. But the fact is that they're able to work together and they know how to. Part of me thought, as I was first watching this, the first go around, is like, well, because Diego's his jealousy of them and like fear of like, my brother is going to be with her or something like that. What's going on between you two? And you think it's because of this, but it turns out there's something completely different that is viable to it. And they later on, but I liked it for the fact that they work together, but you could still see how they kind of taunt each other with their with their dialogue.
Yeah, and like I said, it just kind of didn't. It felt like, to me, even on multiple watches, and I'm kind of going back and forth on this with the writers, because it really felt to me like they were forcing Five and Lila to get together. It was like inevitable. Like they were forcing it in there. They were forcing us to see, hey, we're going to show you how these two are going to get together because we want to get them together, because we know we have to get to that point to have that conflict between Five and Diego. But at the same time, really, I don't know if it was necessary. It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't. And again, it creates more issues. Like, we see, this is the first time, they travel through the subway, and Five is trying to explain to her that, no, I can't travel in time anymore. I can only travel to the same
subway
date. I can use the subway, but I have to go to it's the same time. It's the same date, just a different timeline.
Correct.
And she's like, well, no, it's still in you to travel through time. And that's just kind of, again, that's one of those, their powers are kind of mixed up, and it's just kind of yada away that all of a sudden he's able to suddenly go back in time, with her helping him, I guess. I guess is what we're supposed to understand, is that by her adding herself to his powers,
she mimics the way her powers work, it mimics or enhances his ability to gather when they're and then he at one point, it got to that point where his powers would only get him to the subway to go back in time, which is I find kind of the writing a little bit
again. And then at the very end of it, she just says, oh no, you can do it, and just suddenly he's able to do it. He's able to just teleport
Yes.
them into the store, and I'm like, it just there's just so many
It's
things
wackadoo.
with like her having the laser eyes. All of a sudden, like where did the laser eyes come
It's
from?
come from,
You know,
yeah. The powers
uh,
got all mixed mangled.
Allison's is suddenly telekinetic as well as
Yeah, she could use her powers mentally
and-
instead of saying
right.
it.
And we don't see her actually rumor anybody anymore. She does one rumor and she says she could rumor people, but she doesn't actually do it. Even when she's, in the next episode, when she confronts the drug dealer about Klaus, she's just using telekinesis. She's not using her rumor power on him. So I'm just like, where did this come from? And they find a map. I'm not talking about the map on the wall. They find a map on the bench in the subway.
Yes.
In the very first subway they go to, never explained. That map is never. We see that map a couple of times in the next episode when Five unfolds it, but we don't ever. It's never explained where that map came from. It's never how did it get there? Why is it there? Who? Like I'm just, and then. The bad guy buries Klaus alive and goes, "Oh, maybe in a year or two I'll come back and get you." And I'm like, he's like, he can die and come back. So, okay, you don't know. You think he's not going to die in that casket. I guess you don't know if he needs food, if he needs, you don't know what the extent of his death and resurrection powers are.
Oh, you're talking about Klaus. Yep.
Yeah, Klaus, when the guy buries him alive, there's a throwaway line. You hear the guy say something about in a year or two, I'll check back in with you. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to check back in a year or two with him? Why? Why
Because
are
he
you
knows
giving...
Klaus's ability, which is so weird.
But that's what I'm saying is, yeah, he doesn't know. It just bugged me that I get it. I get the writers wanted to get us to a point where Klaus had to be rescued, and we have to have in the next episode have his Kill Bill moment with his Beatrix Kiddo busting out of the coffin moment. But like, there's just so many things in here that I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. But
it reminded me actually of a Ryan Reynolds movie that came out years and years ago called Buried Alive, I think. He was stuck in a coffin.
Oh wow! Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but yeah, it's just one of those moments where I go at the end of the episode when the guy walks away saying something about a year or two. I'm just going, what? So you're just gonna okay, and they show us Ben and Jennifer and show what happens when they get together.
Well, the one thing that I did enjoy about this is like I said before, the previous episode leaves us off literally when Luther, Allison, Victor are with Hargreaves, and they have to go back in their minds to the one.
That's another thing. Victor just offhandedly goes, "Well, I want to be part of this," and they're
even
like,
though he was a part of the.
You weren't even on this mission. You were locked in the basement when they went on this thing. And even Reginald was like, "Sure, the more the merrier." And I'm like,
exactly. And Lila and Five are standing there going, "Okay,
we ain't letting you mess with our heads."
Apparently, they could share the memories, or Victor could watch their memories and only the snippet of them in it.
Yes, I guess. But it's another one of those moments where I go, "What?"
Yeah, I know. It's October 14th, 2006 that they do go back to, which is the day that Ben initially died.
Right. And they do show Reginald in the basement, or they do show that Victor was there and that she was told she couldn't go on the mission with them. So
yes.
Okay,
it's the Moldova mission that cost Ben his life. We do find out. It's funny too because I'm glad we get to see Pogo back, and he's flying the return of big Pogo spaceship.
Yep.
That brings him to the mission to get there. That Reginald tells them not to open the container. Mm-hmm. They accidentally open the container anyway.
Well,
Ben is there.
They open it because Ben hears Jennifer inside. That's
Correct.
Why they open the container, because Ben hears her and he goes, "Hey, there's somebody in there. We need to open this up." And that's when we find out that Reginald killed the original Ben and Jennifer.
Jennifer and Ben, yeah.
And Ben.
and then I guess Reginald winds up explaining, and and Abigail then steps in and takes responsible, saying that it's all her fault. She explains that years ago she created a new element, the marigold, but without realizing she accidentally created a second particle called Durango.
Right.
And when the marigold and the Durango, so there's an explanation to it. So when the marigold and the Durango interact, they'll cause the extinction of everything.
Right.
So
and
this is what
that's what happened to their
is.
world. Yeah, that's what happened to their original world. And we see that flashback of Reginald releasing the leftover marigold before their world was destroyed. And this is going to lead us right into the next episode, because we're gonna find out in the next 2 episodes really is what this all, because everything in episode 4 is setting up for the finale.
To go back to something that I really found interesting and funny was Klaus as a medium and doing that for the money so he could pay back this guy. And then he deals with this woman, and that's why he gets stuck in the coffin, because the money was supposedly in there, but he allows the husband, and she goes, I need dick. And he goes, we all could use that. But then he lets Dick go into his body, and obviously they have sex, and then they get more information, and this is where he's like, oh, I could get the money from the coffin and blah blah blah. That he's stuck in there, and he, of course, I don't know if it's this episode or the next one when he's still in the coffin and the ghost dog is there.
Yeah, that's it. It's in the next episode. It's in 5 when they get him out.
But
that's
what was buried in there, though.
Yeah, we have that very funny exchange where we have that whole sequence where he meets her the first time, lets the husband inhabit him, and then he lies to her about, or that's the first time. And then when she comes back, that's when she comes back and he lies to her about where the money is, because he wants to escape the basement. He wants her brooch so he can escape the basement, and that's how he goes where the money is. And we find out that she knew he was lying. And so she followed him to the graveyard, and plus the drug dealer followed him and that's how he ends up in the coffin. So yeah, it's a really funny moment when he says, oh, if I can make this much money in just an hour, I'm going to have you paid back in no time. And the drug dealer, does the typical pimp thing where he goes, well, this is your rent, and this is for your drugs, and this is for this, and this is my percentage, and this is the bouncer's percentage, and this is the doorman's percentage, and oh, you're left with this. So what do you want to spend this on? Do you want to pay back your debt, or do you want some more drugs? And Klaus takes the drugs. So you end up getting this moment where Klaus realizes he's stuck, and the guy's never gonna.
Yeah, he's literally a prisoner at this point.
Again, that was one of those moments that kind of confused me, because even though, okay, the guy gets the money because they have this whole shooting thing where everybody dies except for the main bad guy, and so he gets the money. We don't know exactly how much money it was, but he ends up with the money, but then he buries Klaus in the grave, and I'm just kind of like, so you're burying your meal ticket because yes, you do have this big lump of money, but you're also giving up all the money that he could make you.
Yes.
That whole thing just didn't
add up.
It didn't add up to why would this guy give up all the money that he could make with Klaus? I mean, how much money was actually in that duffel bag? I don't know. Maybe it was enough that the guy figured out he had enough money there that he didn't need Klaus. He could go a year or 2 without Klaus and then come back and get him. But it was just one of those. Okay, writers, you're just setting us up because you want to move this story forward and get us out of the drug dealer's storyline so that we can get Klaus back in with the family. So we have somebody rescue him, get him back in with the family, and then we never have to worry about the drug dealer again. He
doesn't owe anything at the point.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Again, everything just setting up for but yeah, that's but yeah, no. So we're so that's all episode 4. So episode 4 ends with Klaus in the coffin, and then that leads us right into episode five. I know we're kind of flying along here, but
yeah,
it's good conversation.
yeah. Episode 5 is entitled 6 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days.
And this is Lila and Five get lost traversing various timelines. Meanwhile, Victor and Reginald aim to stop Ben, whose union with Jennifer sets forth a lethal path.
Oddly
I
enough,
liked.
Yeah, I really liked this episode for some odd reason.
I did too, even though on second watch I liked it a lot more than the first watch. Even though I think on the first watch, because it was so quick,
Yeah.
I didn't feel it was earned, the relationship between Lila and Five.
Yeah.
But on the second watch and watching it just a little while ago, that actually was my third watch, watching it just a little while ago, I when we get the montage at the beginning, the cold open that gives us, it starts out, it says, 6 years ago, and then 5 years ago, it starts out 6 years ago, or no, wait, it's 1 year later, we see them traveling the subway, and we get those title cards telling us how long it's been until we get to the 6 year mark. And then we get to the 6 year mark, and that's when Five is like, hey, I think we should, stop and take a break. And then they spend months in this greenhouse world where they're surviving together and living together, and they're having all this fun time, and she's shaving him, and they're
the key moments I took away were them playing chess with their makeshift chess set that they had that looked like something from Monopoly.
And it was funny when she changes the pieces, when he looks away and when he looks back, you can definitely on the second watch, you can tell that he knows exactly what she did. He knows that she just cheated, but he kind of smiles at it and lets it go. And then they keep going. So go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Five pulling the glass from Lila's foot, the shaving, like you mentioned, and you can see the closeness in them. His hair gets really, really long at this point too, throughout it. And then they were, you could see it's like, they kept saying that they were on this train constantly going all through these different timelines.
Right.
And they couldn't really stand it anymore. They're at that point where it's like, I smell, I stink, I need a shower, I need a bath, I need someplace to stay. Well, what about that wonderful timeline we stopped off that had all that greenery and strawberries and stuff
and there was
like
no wild hogs, and there was no secret police, and there was, like, you can see they've been through quite a few timelines, quite a few different, because like I said, he says there's no wild hogs there and there's no secret police.
Yeah.
So you can tell they've had moments of, which that would be an interesting series to do, to show us all the timelines they went to. They'll never do it, but that would be kind of interesting to see the different it would be very Sliders like, I think, to see all the different timelines they go through, trying to find one that was going to fix their timeline.
It's very similar to what we were discussing and talking about with Dark Matter too, because it's very similar in that aspect with the different times and alternate universes that they have. And different versions of themselves, but in this case, they didn't have any. It was just them going on different times. Yeah,
and that would be interesting too, because we know that they have at least encountered one version of him in one of the timelines. Because remember, the very first timeline they go to is his apocalypse, and he's the one who's shooting at them. Because remember, he has the whole farting thing. So, we could have definitely had some timelines where we saw them meet each other. Or like what we see with the diner in the next episode, where he meets all the other fives that have tried to stop things and haven't been able to get it done.
Council of Fives.
So we finally get this moment in episode 5 where he finds his diary, and he realizes what that is, and he realizes that with this diary we can now get home. Which the only thing I can think of is because he was writing down what the station looked like. So now they could find the exact station that is their original timeline. Is that what you got from that?
That's what I felt.
Okay. When he found the diary, he's like, because I remember him writing down, this is what this station looks like. It's got these burnt out bulbs. It has this poster. It has this this kind of thing. So that would give them a touch point to be able to find their actual home timeline. So okay, that makes sense. Particularly after several years, if he's however long he's been without the diary, they would have forgotten what that station looked like. So that makes sense to me. I guess I can track with that. But it's kind of, again, it's kind of a yada yada moment that she just grabs the book from him and he tries to convince her to stay. But then the very next scene we have them walking up to Diego's house, or the very next time we see them. Now we have some other stuff happen in between, but the next time we see Lila and Five, they're arriving at Diego's house, and we're like, okay, well, I guess they found it. Like
exactly.
Like
right?
I guess that was pretty easy. But yeah, so again, but we get to what you were talking about with Reginald. This is the episode where we see Victor save Reginald's life there on the road, where he kills all those keepers, and then when they're in the car, he says to him, "You should have been in a uniform, and I'm very proud. You're probably the best of all of them." And you see that little smile on Victor's face, or that little that moment of pride that he gets when he realizes that he's finally accepted me, which is all that Victor's ever wanted. That's what he's been asking for these several years. When they showed up at Reginald's house in the last episode, Luther asks him, you never join in on the family reunions. You never meet us. You never send anything for the newsletter. Why are you here? And he's like, well, because I need to confront him. I need to talk to him about what he did. And so we get that moment in the car where Reginald acknowledges Victor. And I think that was very special. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that was the scene I was talking about. That Reginald give him props about that. It's like, and you could see it, the elation on Victor's face at that point of like, I got, oh wow, Dad accepts me and gives me credit, and it's not his dad,
right? But it's enough. It's a version of Reginald that is giving him what he's always wanted. So I think that was really, really cool. And of course we have the moment of Claire and Allison saving Klaus from the coffin. He has his Uma Thurman moment that he talked about, breaking out of the coffin, and you have the dog pissing on the headstone, which the ghost dog peeing on the headstone was kind of different. I was hoping to kind of see that dog again, to see if maybe he was going to follow them around for the next couple episodes, but he didn't. So okay. But I thought that would have been kind of cool for Klaus every now and then to acknowledge that Thunderbolt was there, but maybe they didn't have the CGI budget at that point. And of course, we also have Ben and Jennifer.
Yes, Bennifer. Not to go back to Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
And we find out that Ben does have some money. He says, "Let's just go away. I've got money, stashed away in the Cayman Islands, and I know a pilot in Florida that if we can get down there, we can go and get this money." Of course, they're not going to make it there before the Marigold causes them to merge and have their moment, but we do get that idea of they're thinking about a future together.
Yeah, it's as if they were meant to be together,
maybe
the whole time, which is odd too, because if you think about it, their powers are pretty much very similar. So it's like it made me think at one point, I'm like, well, would this be an alternate version of Ben in this timeline? And she's just a version of it, but why would she be in their original timeline? And then that's what caused the chaos altogether,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's an interesting point of why. But I think, and again, this is one of those things that when we get into the next episode, I really want to explore, because one of the problems I have, and I guess we're kind of starting to edge into episode six now.
Yeah.
My problem with the way the series ends is they make it very clear that they have to get rid of all the Marigold, right?
Yes.
And so there's a problem though, because I kind of listened to a little bit. If you go all the way back to the first season, the first episode, I don't remember the exact number. Was it 36 women, 37 women across the globe?
Something like that.
Something like that got pregnant spontaneously from this marigold that we find out now that it was Reginald releasing the marigold into the world that caused these women to get pregnant, which caused all these alternate timelines to be created.
Correct.
So we have our 6 Umbrella Academy members. Then we have Lila and Jennifer. That's 8. So there's 20, almost 30 other people still out there with marigolds. So you haven't really gotten rid of all the marigolds.
You haven't really gotten rid of everybody yet, too.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like going, we're just yada-yadaing away the other 30 or the other 20 something kids that are out there with powers.
Yeah.
You know, that it just, again, that was one of those things that bugged me, because I didn't, and this is something that multiple watches made me pick up on, because of the first watch, I didn't even think about the number of other kids that were out there with powers. It wasn't until the second watch that I went, wait a minute, aren't there a bunch of other kids still out there that should have powers that would be, but okay, I guess the only ones we care about are the ones,
the Hargreaves that we know,
are the Hargreaves
or the Sparrows.
And the fact that they've now interacted with this Durango, it was just
weird.
Yeah, but okay, so here we go, episode 6.
Episode 6. Well, before we get into that, we have Abigail, and we get the disguised as Jean.
Yes, we do get that. We get the moment when we see Cy Grossman come out of where and again, this is we started to talk about this earlier, so we should talk about it now.
Yeah.
When did she take over Cy Grossman? Because we have no clue when that happened. Because
we never saw it happen.
We never saw it. Was it so? Obviously, it's either sometime before he walked into the Chickadoo restaurant,
correct,
or it's sometime in between, but yet he got into the Chickadoo restaurant because he had the passphrase. So how did she know that? How long has she been Cy Grossman? Has she been Cy Grossman the entire time, and we just didn't realize she was able to go back and forth? We don't see her go back and forth between, but maybe, I don't know. Again, it was one of those plot moments in the writing that I go, wait a minute. When did she take over Cy Grossman's body? Because this makes no sense. We know that when they left the house, they left her at the house. So obviously it's sometime after. I don't know. It just that was another one of those things that you go, okay, I guess we're just supposed to accept that at some point she took over Cy Grossman's body, and so she, Gene has his moment, his macho moment of standing up to Cy Grossman. But then, of course, again, he comes back and he stands up to him.
Looking at Abigail and what her powers were too, like a tentacle coming out and going into it.
Again,
too.
very similar to Ben's power. Did she?
Correct.
What
is the relation to that?
And where did she have this power? We never. I guess Reginald. Maybe that's what their alien beings were, because remember, Reginald is this insect-like, they're both actually these insect-like aliens that just have a human. I don't know. It's
weird.
It's one of those things that I go.
It's not like where we had Grace, who is mom to them in their world or their timeline.
She was a robot. Grace was a robot.
Yeah,
right,
I know.
Right. But like I said, we see that Reginald is this actual insect who has kind of like in the Men in Black movies, to where he has a human suit. Yeah. He's wearing a human suit, and so we can establish that, okay, Abigail would be the same thing. She would be this insect with this human suit, and so she can put different human suits on, but we only see her have one human suit. Well, no, because she takes, at the end of the episode, she takes off the Jean suit, and underneath it is the Abigail suit So
it's wackadoo.
Again, it's just the writers feeling like they had to rush to, finish everything up, and so we're not gonna bother with why this is happening. We're just gonna make it happen. And
yeah, exactly.
So anyway.
Anyhow, we should lead right into episode 6. End of the beginning.
With Ben and Jennifer in peril and the cleanse underway, the family unites for one last fight to save the world and end the infinite devastation.
Yeah.
As much as I'm crapping on these episodes, I really did. I liked it. I totally forgot. I'm going to admit, when I watched the episode 6 the first time, when I watched it again today, I had totally forgot about the diner delicatessen scene between all the fives. I had totally forgot about it until I saw him come out of the subway and walk up to the delicatessen, or until I saw him in the subway and he sees another version of himself outside. I went, oh, that's right. He's going to go meet all these other fives now, and he's going to find out, that 142,150 or whatever the number was times that they've actually saved the world, but they've never actually saved it. They've saved it all these times, but it just keeps ending again. And you can see when they showed us the pictures on the wall. We saw the one of season 1 with the moon being destroyed, and a couple others that we recognize. But you realize that this has been happening for a much longer time than what we even know about, because all these fives are in this diner because they've given up. They've basically gone, okay, we can't do it. So we're just going to spend the rest of our eternity in this diner forever eating whatever diner food, and everybody is a different brisket 5 and the server 5 and stuff like that, so and the numbers 5 and all that. I thought it was a great scene. It was really, it gave us a lot of talking of explaining, well, here's what's going on, and then we have our 5 go, well, I'm going to go see if I can fix it, and the Pastrami 5 going, all right, good luck with that, man, and just kind of sending him on his way.
I love how it actually starts too, because that's when Gene and Gene, quote unquote, start the call for everybody, and then everybody turns on their radio, and it's the same song all across, which is the call. It's like a radio station, and it's a song by the Muse called "Map of the Problematic," and that's what signals everybody to do what they need to for the keepers.
Yeah, we get this big group. We get this big group of people getting their guns and their weapons and all.
And they have a reverse Umbrella Academy tattoo on them. If you look, the umbrella is upside down. It says it's inverted up.
Yeah. So. Oh, we totally forgot in the last episode. I don't know why I totally skipped over this. Was Diego and Luther's fight?
At the CIA.
The CIA. Yeah.
And they said it's like, isn't this where everybody goes to like relax? These guys are like, it reminds me of Scully and a bunch of Scully and Hitchcocks from Brooklyn Nine-Nine that don't do anything in the CIA office, but they infiltrate it. They go in there, and then next thing you know, a fight erupts, and then Victor gets really brutal in this, and then he loses his pants, of course.
He loses his pants. Diego loses his shirt. So we have a shirtless Diego and a pantsless Luther fighting together. They do that whole wacky
Secret Agent Man is playing as they're doing it.
Yeah.
Luther winds up really killing somebody really good with a fork to the head.
Yep. Yeah, we have
Diego
really
is showing his prowess, but the funny thing is when his shirt does come off, he goes, "What?" He goes, "Oh, they do that because they're stripper clothes. They tear away."
Yeah, it's all the stripper clothes that Luther has. What, did you give Ribbons a lap dance? Yeah, kind of.
And that was in the elevator when he beat them. And he walks out, and they're all bloodied on the floor in the elevator too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great, but yeah, that was another one of those musical moments that we had. We have, like you said, Secret Agent Man playing while they're fighting, and he gets the one guy to bash the agent in the head with the fire extinguisher, getting him to help him out. So it was really kind of cool to see that kind of Slow Horses. I've been watching Slow Horses on Apple TV here recently, and that's kind of what that basement reminded me of, is the slaw house for these washed up agents who don't have anywhere to go. So we're going to put them in this basement area and call them Section R.
Or like the TVA and Loki and stuff like that. Yeah, things of that nature.
yeah. So it was really cool. But back to the diner scene. We find out in the diner scene that it was one of the Fives who. Well, we already knew that Five had started the commission, but now we know why. Was that the whole point was they were that Five, whoever started that commission, was trying to restore the original timeline, and it never did work out even for him. So I thought that was kind of cool to get that call back to Five being the one who started the commission, because we heard that either in season 2 or 3, I can't remember where we found out that. I think it was season 3 where we found out that Five had actually started the commission, but now we know why, that it was to restore the original timeline. So yeah, good stuff in there, and they ended it well. As much as I hate that they had to, but at that point the writers had written themselves into where the only way they can end it is with letting them be forgotten. Although it is kind of cool to think that, and that's a great exchange at the end there when Lila and Five come back and she sees Diego and she tells Five it's over, but you realize that she really does love Diego. She loves her family. Yeah. And Allison asks about Claire and she says, "Don't worry, my family will take care of them." Wherever they end up on that subway, I think that's what she's saying, is wherever they end up on that subway, or if they end up riding that subway forever, that she'll never be alone. She'll always be with Diego. And
that was their way of trying to save the rest of their extended family. Yeah. And that was pretty cool. Then we get Ben and Jennifer during the whole coming together situation, like a Cronenberg Brundlefly, thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, kind of coming together,
kind of massive,
and then you got Victor involved, and Ben pushing Victor away at a certain point, and they wind up going back in time several times to fix the situation, it seems.
I don't know if they went back in time. I think the point was just to Ben showed Victor what would happen if they let it in, and it wasn't that they went back in time. It was that Ben showed him that, hey, this needs to happen, because the only way is to erase so they kind of went back in time, and that they erased their own existence. Yeah. Because they stopped. And again, they don't really show how they did this, they don't really show how this happens. Yeah. I'm confused, because how would Ben and Jennifer merging all of their powers together on August 12th, because we have that narration where Reggie says August 12th, 2024, nothing happened. How would them merging all together cause the Marigold to never have been released by Reginald on his world that was being destroyed? Now my brain is starting to hurt.
Yeah, I know, because it's like, where do we go?
How did that solve? Oh, now I am confused. How did that stop everything from, how did that put everything right? That doesn't make any sense.
Across several universes and several timelines.
How would that cause them never to have existed unless they went, now
they would have had to go back in time to do something to change it all. And
but they didn't show Oh, now I'm so confused. And
Yeah, same here.
If somebody has an answer to this, that would be great, because now I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, you're right. Why did them choosing not to say, like basically what they were saying was choosing not to stop. Sorry, my brain is exploding. Yeah, I'm like, how did them, that doesn't make any sense. Why would them not stopping the world from ending cause the world not to end?
I think at the very end, because at the way it ends, they put them on the train, on the subway, blah, blah, blah. The monster that is considered Benifer gets close to the siblings as Five and Lila blink back. And as they all wait for their deaths, Luther suggests going around in a circle and sharing their favorite moments of one another, as that's shot down very fast.
Yeah, and they say we're not going to do that. And yeah, they say we're not going to do that.
Yeah, and then they all power up and say their final words as the monster takes over the house and swallows up the siblings. And then it just cuts to the original timeline, which is pretty much like a vision of Ben tried to show what Ben tried to show Victor. And then we see Lila's family, Lila and Diego's kids, Claire, all together in a park, looking all happy and like nothing happened.
Are you sure? Are you sure that was, because I really, okay, if that's the case, I really tried to see. I saw people from the commission were there, like that woman with the glasses.
Yeah, the handler.
Was there, and I really tried to see if that was supposed to be Claire. It kind of looked like Claire, but was that their family?
I think the park so.
There?
Yeah.
Okay. I can kind of see that maybe that still doesn't explain how they got there.
It's weird because, and then obviously that's it, and then credits roll. But we have an after credits moment, which is really weird because in the post credit scene, I cut this from an article I got. It says in a post credit scene, the camera cuts to yellow marigolds, which I remember, blooming in the park and spewing out yellow particles.
I missed that. I guess I never watched it far enough to the end to.
So yeah, the cleanse did happen, and there's still marigolds somehow in the original timeline, meaning it's all going to restart anyway. And the marigold has been released, so we can assume it will begin entering bodies and causing babies to be born with superpowers once more again. And
there won't be any Reginald around to
gather them together.
That still even makes it more confusing to me.
So they leave it at the end of this notation on this article saying was what the Hargreaves sibling did all for nothing. And it says, well, maybe in the end, but they also buy a lot of time for the next group of superpower siblings who will. And it says, no doubt, save the world multiple times. So basically, it's just restarting a whole new cycle.
Like I said, I must have never watched it far enough. I saw the credits roll with all the pictures of the cast and the crew pictures and stuff, and I just never watched past that because I just figured I didn't know there was a post-credit scene with the marigold. That makes it even more confusing to why they would put that. That's just.
It's kind of like at the very end of Snowpiercer when we finish that and you see the flower in the snow. Remember?
Right. So. Yeah, I have. I need to finish Snowpiercer. I haven't.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
No, I haven't finished it yet. I'm still working. It's. But no, that you're not spoiling anything for me because I suspected they were going to end by showing that the Earth is going to come back. I don't know how they get there. So that's cool. I'm excited to finish up that series as well and at some point. But now I'm even more confused about this ending of the Umbrella Academy and. That's ridiculous.
That is our coverage, everybody. So of the remaining parts of the final season of.
Hopefully, we have not left you more confused than when you started this podcast,
or confused ourselves,
or as I am now more confused than when this podcast started.
Exactly. But that's pretty much our episode. And as far as like news or anything. One thing I found interesting, we got cut off, everybody, for Joker 2 when Rob and Becky and I were covering that because silly me didn't clean up a lot of hard drive space, so my Zoom just got out and then we didn't get to finish up majority of it. But as you all know, I had covered Monarch, Legacy of Monsters with Ben Beck on Wilhelm, which was a collaboration with Podcastica, and we covered Monarch, but we got a little bit of information for that particular one if you want to go back and watch season 1 of Monarch. Amber Midthunder has been cast in Monarch Legacy of Monsters season 2, and if you remember,
she's on Legion. She was in Legion, and
she was also in what else? Wasn't she in the Predator sequel or something?
Yes, she was in. She did the one that the Predator prequel.
Yes,
that you and I were going to cover, but we never actually did.
We never got to it, but I remember her from that too.
But yeah, she was in that as well. What was that called? Prey? Was it just called Prey? I think.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
and
really
that did well
movie
too. And they actually want to do another film apparently.
Okay.
So
yeah, I like her. She was really great in Legion. So I look forward to seeing Monarch season 2 to see how that shakes up. And I think they've got Wyatt Russell not Wyatt Russell is anyway. Somebody's coming back, I'm sure.
I think majority of the cast is coming back.
Yeah,
maybe not Kurt Russell.
Maybe not Kurt, but yeah, we'll have to see if who they bring back and stuff for it. So yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. So that's all we have as far as news. Except for, we mentioned it before, which is pretty funny. Batman got his star in Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is pretty funny.
Good for him.
So and then a friend of mine asked me, he goes, "Is he the only fictitious character?" I was like, "No, Godzilla's got one there too, pal."
Yeah.
He was like,
I hadn't heard that. So that's cool though. That's cool. They gave Batman a star on the Walk of Fame. That's great.
But and then obviously for you listeners, there's more stuff to come out. We're going to be continuing and finalizing Agatha all along. I believe there's 9 or 10 episodes.
I'm not sure how many episodes that
I looked it up the other night, and I believe it's like 9 or 10, which is pretty cool.
That's great. Yeah.
So I look forward to that. Finishing up that, and then us bringing you more content, a little bit different, something to pull from the well of older movies or shows, because as far as whatever else is coming out, we will let you know. Steve's got a few ideas and thoughts that we could do.
Yeah, we got some stuff coming up, and 2025 is going to be a big year. Not big year for Marvel, but there's a few things coming out in 2025 for Marvel. So
yeah, Marvel, other shows as well. And then that's about it for news, just to give you an idea. We didn't really get any feedback for this because it's been so long since we put anything out for this, so we apologize. But for those of you that want to send any sort of feedback, all you have to do is go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/panels to pixels. We always leave an image for what we're covering. Obviously, with Agatha, and when we were doing Snowpiercer, I was putting all that stuff in there. Whatever goes to Facebook goes to Instagram. So usually I just put your thoughts and comments in the comments below the image, and then we'll definitely read them on the podcast. Same goes if you send us an email, which would be greatly appreciated. A regular texted email is always welcome. We'll read that. Or if you wanted to record yourself, you could do so and just send that as an attachment. And so it's as if you're on the podcast yourself, and we can make comments and listen to you and your thoughts as well. And you can easily send those to panels2pixels1@gmail.com. Panels is spelled out, panels to TO, pixels, and the number 1@gmail.com. And then we will put that on when we next record. Doesn't necessarily have to be anything that we're currently doing. It could be something that we've done in the past before, which we've done before. Like when we recently got some feedback through Adrenaline Cinema podcast, of all things. Somebody sent something through YouTube on a comment. So we brought that up on when we did Mayfair Witches. And I brought it up because somebody was talking about Interview with a Vampire from an older episode. And I got like a message comment pop up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we'll talk about it. So as you all know, we are on YouTube podcasts, regular YouTube. It's always a static image. It's the whole podcast, but you could always comment on it. So all you have to do is search for Panels to Pixels podcast. So keep that in mind. It's Panels to Pixels podcast. If you go to straight to Panels to Pixels, you'll get the other pretty guy from over the seas, across the pond. And that would be Josh. And I like his show too. So subscribe to him as well. But please subscribe to YouTube, ring the bell to get notified, and give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. And of course, if there's always ratings and reviews because we could be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a whole bunch of other podcast players' choice, but preferably Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating or review. It'd be greatly appreciated. And then leave some comments. We haven't had some in a while, but it'd be greatly appreciated if you did. But other than that, that's our episode, and we'll be back again. I just want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. This was Panels to Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.